Apostolic Nuncio to Ukraine, I shared with Pope Leo our hope and sorrow. The Apostolic Nuncio to Ukraine, Archbishop Visvaldas Kulbokas, speaks to Vatican News following his first audience with Pope Leo XIV in the Vatican, reflecting on the very consoling encounter, full of prayer, and reflects on the dramatic situation in the war-torn country. Hope, prayer, testimonies of humanity, and sorrow for recent intense attacks across Ukraine are what the Apostolic Nuncio to the war-torn country, Archbishop Visvaldas Kulbokas, shared with Pope Leo XIV, when meeting him on Friday, June 6, in the Vatican's Apostolic Palace. In this interview with Vatican media, the Apostolic Nuncio shares about their encounter, marking their first meeting, as well as about the horrific situation in the country. Your Excellency, how was your first meeting with Pope Leo XIV? It was a very important meeting, and it was prepared with much prayer, my personal prayer, that of my colleagues at the Nunciature in Kiev, the bishops, even some state officials in Ukraine, and former parishioners in Lithuania. Because above all, this was a spiritual meeting. It was my first encounter with Pope Leo, and I am very grateful for it. It was rather long and focused mainly on matters concerning us as a church in a time of war. It was important for me to feel the Pope's heart, just as it was important for me to share my own experiences, especially the spiritual ones, during this time of war. It was also a very consoling meeting, filled with prayer. I want to emphasize this, because prayer is our main weapon. That's how I describe it, and the Holy Father too calls it the most powerful weapon of all. The rest of the audience touched on some specific matters, including the bombing that occurred on the night of June 6 in Kiev, Ternopil, Lutsk, and other regions and cities of Ukraine. We discussed what it means to live without being able to sleep or move freely between and within cities. The conclusion of the meeting was this: we, as the Church, even in the worst situations, are witnesses to what God can do, despite human weakness and sin. This is our hope, and I am deeply grateful to the Holy Father for this moment of sharing and prayer, which I will carry back with me to Ukraine. You mentioned a massive Russian attack on several Ukrainian regions. How would you describe the general situation in the country? The situation varies from region to region. For example, in Kherson, the regional administration building was destroyed. There, the bombardment has been constant for 4 years. There may not even be 10 minutes of silence because the attacks are so frequent. Other places like Odessa, Zaporizhia, and Kharkiv are constantly under alert, though with some pauses. Then there's the rest of the country, where the alerts are less frequent. But even in the capital, Kyiv, it's hard to find even 1 or 2 nights a month without at least drone attacks.